What's your favorite thing about black men?
Nothing. Black men suck.
What's your
They're bad. They cheat. They don't care. I'm with the white boys.
favorite thing about black men?
Nothing.
Why you say that?
I don't like black men. Not very many meet my standard.
What's your favorite thing about black men?
Nothing. They're just terrible.
Even when you just said that, because I'm thinking about the guest that we just had, she admitted that, her father wasn't a productive father, which I guess justify why she is allowed to say negative things about black men. It's okay for black women to say stuff like that. Like, they will critique a lot of black men sometimes with, oh, you must hate your mother. Like, we get that a lot. You must hate your mother.
Well, they say that to me. I must hate my mom.
Yeah, like
black women accountable.
When black women have these negative thoughts about black men, nobody says you must hate your father. And it's clearly true.
Yeah.
That one experience can cause you to have a whole hatred towards men. And for some reason, that's valid. But when a black man is not allowed to have that same experience with his mom.
The black woman is the black community because we don't have a group of strong males that are running anything, okay? So that being said, when he sits on his platform talking about black women are masculine, it's because we have to be masculine. He's not putting that into account that our men are weak as fuck. Our men are fucking beta weak males who want to blame whitey, blame everyone for the reason why they're failures, okay? Blame the welfare system when really the white man and the welfare system is the reason why so many black children have food to eat, okay? The white man saw your degeneracy and they stepped in and helped by creating the welfare system, okay?
Hello, family. Today I would like to dive deep into a topic that has captivated and divided so many in recent years, and that's the online black gender war. I think it's about time that we talk about the absurdity of this conflict and how it distracts us from the real challenges we face together as a community. Over the last 5 years or so, social media has exploded with opinions, debates, and often volatile exchanges between black men and black women. A lot of this discourse stems from misunderstandings, stereotypes, and I dare say, the pettiness that follows. But let's be real. This isn't helping anyone. Instead of building each other up, we're tearing each other down. On one side, you have voices like the late Kevin Samuels, who was a polarizing figure, often calling out what he saw as the failings and delusional thoughts of black American women in dating.
I'm giving you advice, but you're not taking it. The advice is, ma'am, you're average looking at best.
I'm taking it in, but...
Okay, but you're not accepting the fact that, okay. Average looking women, average looking woman who's older, average looking older woman with a 13-year-old son, average looking woman with a 13-year-old son with a sketchy baby daddy. This gets worse every time I say something. And now you're asking for a man who's in the top 10% of men. You don't qualify for one. And you're making, I don't want to have to go there, but when you put in all these other factors, why can't you just get a man that's an average guy?
Sometimes I feel like in order to fully submit, I have to feel like he's in.
Well, then you're gonna die alone. How about that? Let me just cut to the chase, ma'am. You can feel like what you want to, but women like you die alone. Straight up. Because you think you're better than the men that you qualify for.
Conversely, you have black women like Cynthia G., who frequently emphasizes her hate and anger for black men and what she sees as black male weakness.
Men in general are the smallest part of procreation. Even though they've marketed themselves to be 100% of it, they are not. They literally only nut. That's all they're doing. Their body is doing nothing else except nutting. They don't even know that you're pregnant or that they have a child until you tell them. Beyond having sex with a woman, they're completely detached from the procreation process and the result of it, which is their children. This should be obvious at this point. They abandon them. They don't care about them. They don't want to take care of them. All they do is complain about children. Over and over and over, they complain.
I've actually heard her call black men trash bag bandits and bullet bags. I remember back in the 1990s when I used to see black women trash black men on shows like Donahue, Ricky Lake, Sally Jesse Raphael, and The Oprah Winfrey Show. I also used to see movies and books like Waiting to Exhale, What's Love Got to Do with It, and Disappearing Acts. And these movies were they were well after the movie The Color Purple. I think The Color Purple came out in the mid-1980s. These shows, movies, and books continuously portray black men in the most negative light. Now, it's just off the hook today. Now that black men have recently decided to publicly express their grievances and concerns, they feel they can't be shamed into silence because they often feel that they are merely doing what black women have been doing for decades. In other words, using a white apparatus to spread hateful messages.
Kevin Samuels recently passed away. And, at first, it was a rumor for 24 hours. And then we come to find out he was linking with a chick. And, he passed away, rest in peace to him.
He passed away fucking. The way I would like to go. Nigga dick hard, hard dick, wet noodle legs, and a heartbeat beating fast in the motherfucker, cause I've been fucking like a motherfucker. Hell you talking about, that's the way to go. Boy went out on top in style, nigga with a nerve. Whether he bought the pussy, gave something for the pussy, the nigga single. That's a single man, he ain't married, he didn't get caught cheating. Oh man, that's the way to go, boys. You say that's the goddamn way to go though.
On social media, a lot of women were celebrating though.
Yeah, all them hoes playing they pussy often and regularly, and they ain't got a man to cut their grass. Yeah, that's them hoes don't like their daddies. That's them fat hoes with them fumpers. Yeah, that's them fat hoes with them fumpers. That's them bitches with them big old booties. They got that belly with that C-section scar on it that one got the BBL, and it just ain't looking right. And she think just because she got a good paying job, she can get a high class nigga.
Fresh and Fit is notorious for not only disrespecting black women with aggression, but slandering the black community entirely. Something that kind of rubs me the wrong way about those guys. I get coon and subservient laborers for white supremacy vibes when I hear them speak. They rarely say anything good about African Americans and definitely nothing kind or respectful about black women.
Black women are the fattest. You guys average about 187 pounds. I'm dead serious. Yeah, an average black woman.
Okay.
Okay.
No, I'm talking about your mama.
Once again, I said the average, not you. The average black woman's 187 pounds, right? She's out.
Right, status.
There's obviously the stereotypes, right, of being loud and obnoxious and ratchet, right? And then there's the fake hair.
Yeah. Right.
Men overwhelmingly prefer natural hair. So, and a lot of black women wear weave and wigs.
Right. Yeah.
Anyway, I think that both sides of this gender war have valid points, but the way they communicate often comes off as combative rather than constructive. Speaking of which, can anyone honestly come up with a man in the movie The Color Purple who was a decent man? I can't. I know that I'll get sidetracked here, but okay, let's go over the roster. We have Paul, a man who, although was not the biological father, was participating in the R-word of his own daughters. A man who literally sold off his daughters. I would like to also mention that prearranged marriages weren't something that black people in America were typically engaged in. We did it the normal way, just like anyone else, or eloped like a young couple. We have the socially awkward Harpo, the wimp, a man who didn't show any strength, and the only time he displayed strength was when he was beating his wife, Sophia. But even then, he would get beat up by her as well. We have Mr., a cruel, adulterous, misogynist man who also struggled with his own heartbreak and frailties. Probably mostly started from his father. He constantly punished Celie, who would be considered under normal circumstances a good, dutiful wife. By the way, the Mr. character invokes quite a deal of celebration from black women as he suffered alone in his later years in that movie, as his character arc provides a little solace with a brief redemption ending. I also noticed this kind of thing when Kevin Samuels passed away. When he died, I saw black women across the country celebrating en masse. It also kind of reminds me, it was a Facebook Live, I believe. It might have been something I saw online on YouTube, where I saw a group of black women in the comment section and on the live itself saying comments in response to let's say, for example, the statistic that was mentioned was every 30 minutes a black man is killed by a police officer. Well, these black women were on that live saying those white cops should increase that number. They should improve that number, not improve it as far as minimizing the number to minimize the overall death collateral damage or anything, but to increase it. It's amazing. We also have old Mr. Johnson, Albert's father, a man who imposed doubt, fear, hate, and insecurities on his own son, often giving his son bad advice on women, ultimately making him bad for any woman who would have him. Again, not a single man in that movie was worth 2 dead flies. Yet even a woman like Suge Avery, which by all intents and purposes, by today's standards, would be considered for the streets. But she was able to not only gain redemption, but obtain the love she desperately sought after from her unforgiving, estranged father, who just happened to be a black pastor. So basically, she still had a happy ending. Another dishonest narrative is suggesting that Mr. was a likelihood in the first place. When we first meet Albert, who would be considered a relatively young man at the time, I would venture about 35 years old or so. But we see him with this big, nice home with what I would consider a plantation with farm animals, with a good name, I would imagine, in the height of Jim Crow South. Come on. Weren't they in Georgia? We're talking about a time and place in America where a black man could get lynched just for wearing a nice suit on horseback, which, by the way, he did have a nice steed. Yet Alice Walker and Steven Spielberg sold this movie like it was historical and common in a time frame where a lot of black men most black men, in fact, not a lot, but most black men were sharecroppers and didn't have the ability to own property. Each side of this silly gender war has its advocates as well. On the black men's side, we have sisters like the Crimson Cure. And on the black women's side, we have individuals like Derek Jackson. Now, if you don't know who Derek Jackson is, he's a black YouTuber who spent nearly a decade trashing black men and giving black women questionable advice.
If you don't know who Derek Jackson is, I don't know what rock you've been under. But since you like relationship coaches, and I'm pretty sure you do to some degree because most of the content on my channel is about relationships. And of course, I was a relationship coach for a long time, but you should know who Derek Jackson is. Derek Jackson was a coach for women. And I remember when he first became popular, I remember saying to women, he gives some good advice, but he is not somebody that you need to take literally. Okay? Because, he might not be the type of man you think he is. To me, I always believed that he was telling women how to avoid the type of man he was. That was what I thought, and that's what I kept telling women, to just hear his advice, listen to what he's saying, but at the same time, please don't listen to it simply because you're interested in him. I think a lot of women were following behind Derek Jackson because they thought that Derek Jackson was an attractive man.
If a guy slips up and cheats, it shouldn't outweigh all the good that he's done up until that point, right? But by woman logic, it somehow does, and he doesn't understand why. I'm gonna tell you why. First off, to say that, you know, cheating shouldn't outweigh all the good that you've done is also to say there's an amount of good you can do to deserve to cheat, which is bullshit. And I shouldn't even have to explain that, because vice versa, we would catch a fucking fit and, you know, decide to be hoes for the rest of our life if a woman were to ever break our heart, no matter how much good she's done. But anywho, you don't know how much damage you've done by cheating on a woman, so we can't reduce it to just one lapse in judgment, you know, one slip up or whatever. That's besides the fact that none of us really slip up and fuck anybody. There was a rapport that we built. There was scoping out that happened. There was putting ourselves in that position. There was flirting. You know what I'm saying? So going by most people's definition of cheating, yeah, you just slip up. But the truth is, you've probably been cheating months before you actually put your dick in her. And more times, I would say 9 times out of 10, when a dude gets caught cheating, that wasn't his very, very first time cheating. That wasn't his only time cheating. That was his only time getting caught. Let's be real. But back to what I was saying, it's not just one slip up. You just caused damage for the next 2, 3 months, 6 months, depending on how much she loved you and how much she had invested in you. Not only that, it can definitely outweigh how much good you've done, because shit, she may question all the good things you've done since you done cheated on her. So if y'all been together a year, right? Had no problems, all these good times, all these laughs, all these times you told her that she was beautiful to you, that she was the only one that you wanted, and then you go and you cheat and you go against everything that you said. You caused a year of past damage, plus you caused how much time it's gonna take for her to get back off the ground of the shit that you just did. But somehow that means, you know, one fucking slip up shouldn't outweigh all the good that you've done. Motherfucker, that one slip up might cancel all the shit that you've done.
BBC? What the fuck?
You know who's not going to be getting that BBC? All those girls that he was cheating on his wife with.
He got to chill out for a while.
Here's the thing, man, and this is the thing, right? This is the podcast. This is the moral of this whole story before we even start talking.
All right.
I would rather be known as an honest sinner than a lying hypocrite. Because when you're a lying hypocrite...
Yo, hold on. I'm Hippocrates, so let's not use the word hypocrite. Can we use another word?
But I'm going to tell you why you're not a lying hypocrite.
Oh, that's right. I'm a truthful hypocrite.
You're a true... But and it's not... And it's a difference when you're... Like, see, what Derek did is he goes out there and he literally shits on men, right? And it's like a level of narcissism where he purposely doesn't try to understand where another man is coming from, as if he's never made any mistakes whatsoever. You know what I'm saying? And then he mischaracterizes people as well. And he does it all for the benefit of his own pocket.
He would often provide the vice that he never followed himself, as he was exposed for regularly lying and cheating on his wife. In fact, many of his black female followers didn't even know he was married. Despite his actions, he still maintained and increased his black female following. Basically, they did not cancel him. But in all honesty, these discussions sometimes feel like a stage for grievance rather than a platform for solutions. And let's not forget the countless commenters and social media personalities who thrive on this conflict, fueling the fire rather than dousing it. Basically, getting paid from the separation, loneliness, and suffering of Black people. So what's truly at stake here? In a society that largely marginalizes us, we're choosing to fight among ourselves. Think about it, fam. Who benefits from Black men and Black women being at odds? Certainly not us. Instead, we should be uniting against systemic issues like economic inequality, police brutality, and educational disparities that affect us all. It's time to recognize that our real enemies are not each other, but the systems that oppress us all. As long as we remain divided, we weaken our collective power. Imagine if we redirected that energy spent on online arguing into building businesses, mentoring youth, and fostering community connections. So here's my call to action. Let's embrace unity. Let's celebrate each other's achievements rather than stoke jealousy and division over perceived shortcomings. Find ways to collaborate, support, and uplift one another instead of tearing each other down. I'm not sure if anybody has ever paid attention to the Star Wars series, but there are a group of individuals called the Sith. And I think that Black Americans, both Black men and women, need to operate not only in silence, behind the scenes, but also out front. So we need a collective. I usually don't have a great viewpoint on most of the so-called founding fathers, and usually I don't quote them much, but Benjamin Franklin is credited with saying, "We must indeed all hang together, or most assuredly we shall hang separately." Ladies, no other group of men on this planet is going to love you like the Black man. Fellas, no group of women is going to love and support you like the Black woman. This Black gender war is a distraction from the real fight for our collective liberation. Let's focus on building bridges, not walls. Reach across the aisle, engage in productive conversations, and remember, together we rise.
Sugar Bum says, I don't think anyone should be needed in 2022. We should be wanted. Sugar Bum, that's ridiculous. I'm going to tell you why it's ridiculous. Think bigger. Think bigger. If there were no more women, then creation would stop. If there were no more men, then this whole everything would stop eventually. Because there's nobody there getting together, procreating. Stop it. Let's humble ourselves and have a conversation. We need each other to exist. We do. Point blank. There's no way around it. Because God is not blowing into the dirt anymore and forming Adam. It's not happening that way anymore. Right now, we got to get together, procreate to create other generations. That's where we at now. And if somebody decides not to do it, or they take all the women away, they take all the men away, it's not going to happen. Civilization will go. There will be no more us.